Radical judge just officially sentenced Diddy to 50 months in jail for Mann Act violations. 50 months, 4 years and 2 months. And his reasoning why is BS. We should all be pissed off and angry at what we just witnessed in his courtroom today. And if you weren't there, or if you was at work and didn't have time to read up on what happened or how Diddy rights were violated, lucky for you, I sat through everything. I watched every update since about 9 a.m. this morning. This is the sentencing table the judge is supposed to use to figure out what's going to be the range of sentence. Diddy falls in Zone B and Zone C due to his conviction of the Mann Act, which is, bruh, he transported people to engage in prostitution.
Okay.
Now, because Diddy, this is his first conviction, is supposed to fall in the 4 to 10 months or maximum 8 to 14 months. It's unprecedented for somebody to get anywhere near 5 years or 4 years in jail for a Mann Act violation. But this is where you begin to see the devil at work here, where you begin to see this judge is a radical judge. He has it out for Diddy. It's unprecedented. Because the judge looked Diddy in his eyes, looked his attorneys in his eyes in court, and he said, listen, I know he was acquitted of all the other stuff that will require a harsher sentence, but I'm still going to consider those other stuff as well when I sentence him. So I'm not just sentencing him for stuff the
Yeah, you can't do that, can he? Oh my God.
jury decided. But yeah, I did my homework. I have the legal backing and a legal basis to sentence him for stuff that I heard in court that he was acquitted of. The state attorneys kept asking the judge to consider the beatings the women went through, how they was forced to do this, how they were coerced to do this, how this ruined their life. Diddy attorneys objected and said, hold on. Diddy was found not guilty. He was acquitted of trafficking these women. He was acquitted of engaging in anything that required force or coercion. The literal charge was trafficking by force or coercion. Diddy was found not guilty.
True.
Why do y'all keep saying these women were forced or coerced to do these things by Diddy? He was acquitted of this. He was found guilty of transporting people to engage in prostitution. The jury ruled that what those women did was consensual. So all the other stuff that he was acquitted for, that should have no play in what sentence he gets. The judge said, listen, you are wrong, Diddy attorneys. The judge says, now, as to the objections, the defense says acquitted conduct cannot be considered. There is no guidance from any court on this. We don't know what the jury was thinking. That means, hey, the jury acquitted him of trafficking, but they could have still thought that he coerced or forced these women to travel for prostitution. We don't know what they were thinking. But I still have to use my eyes and what I seen in his courtroom and what I heard in his courtroom. Even if the jury acquitted him of certain things, I still heard it so I could use it in my sentencing guidelines and I could consider it when I sentence him. The judge will state that it's overlapping conduct, so the force, coercion, or abuse that Jane Doe and Cassie testified that they received at the hands of Diddy, that could also apply to other charges. Those conduct worked their way into other charges. However, the difference between trafficking and transportation for prostitution is literally force and coercion. The minute you start considering force and coercion into that conduct, it becomes trafficking. It's no longer transportation. Transportation means all.
Okay, I'm getting it now. Okay, since he was acquitted of it and he was acquitted of forcing them, they voluntarily went there, so there should be no reason for the judge to put that into consideration to begin with, because he never forced anyone to go and do anything. They willingly did it, so it should not be put into consideration when putting him in court, basically when judging him, basically and giving him the 4 years. I get it.
All he did was transport them to do these things. Force and coercion and transporting is trafficking, which is why I don't understand why he would consider this, right? And he will say it only applies or it only impacts the advisory guidelines range. So he officially rules that acquitted conduct can be considered. See U.S. versus Vaughn, Second Circuit, and other cases. Even matters that cannot be considered for the guidelines can be considered under 3553A. This is nasty work. The judge essentially said, man, the jury don't matter. They're dumb. I'm king. If I sat in that courtroom and I heard You were accused of arson, bribery, RICO, trafficking, beating up women, forced coercion, and you was acquitted. The jury don't believe you did those things. If I heard it and I was convinced, well, I could still use that in my sentencing guidelines because I thought that you forced and coerced them, and that's overlapping conduct, and that can also overlap into the trafficking, no, into the transportation charge, even though you were found not guilty of trafficking.
Yeah, I get what Flacco was saying. I mean, we are all obviously unhappy that he only got 4 years, but technically speaking, he shouldn't even be getting even 4. He should probably be getting like a year max or so. So, and the reason he's using to justify the 4 years is absolutely BS. Like, it's absolutely BS because he was already acquitted of those cases. If he was already found not guilty, just because you feel like it, you feel like the things that you heard were bad and sounded bad, even though he didn't do anything, gives a reason to up his sentence. Well, it's gonna make it easy. I think it's gonna make it easier for the defense, to basically to like, well, appeal that, because I already heard that they're going to appeal it anyway. So it's gonna make it very, very easy for them to appeal it. That's what I think.
That's crazy work. And the other thing he said, when he says, even things that you were acquitted of that can't be considered for the guideline, I can still consider it. And here's why that's important. Diddy's sentencing guidelines in court is he had 0 victims because he didn't force or coerce anybody to do anything. He had 0 victims. He had no prior convictions. And it's like a level 12 offense. So the guidelines for that is, well, like probation, 12 to 18 months, like max. But the judge is saying, no. I sat in this courtroom and I heard testimony. Even though he was acquitted, I still believe he had more than 0 victims. I think he had 10 victims. The reason why...
There was no proof. There's no proof of it. You can't just go off whatever you feel like. I mean, hey, I know. It sounds like I'm defending Diddy here, which technically speaking I am, but... Bro, as a reason why there is proofs and facts, you can't, like, the court is about facts and evidence. It's not about basically your feelings, because if he starts doing that and he gets away with it, and that means going forward, other judges can do the same shit, even though you're not found guilty, but just because they feel like you might have done something, they feel like there are victims out there, even there's no proof, there's no evidence that there are, that they can sentence you. Nah, that's bullshit.
How many victims the judge think Diddy had is important is because there's enhancements. So if the sentencing guideline is, hey, it's an offense level 12, and is guideline 1 because he has no prior criminal history, 12 to 18 months, the judge can say, no, I think he has 10 victims, and enhancements apply. So Section 3's enhancement is for defendants aggravating role, vulnerable victims, and obstruction of justice that applies. So if the judge believes Diddy has 10 victims, well, that increased the offense level. Now those enhancements can take this to an offense level 27, which it did. Diddy argued, hey, judge, I have no victims. But, and if you're wondering, bruh, like he got convicted of transporting Cassie and Jane Doe for rendezvous. What you mean he has no victims? Flacco, how's that possible? That's possible because, again, the precedent for the Mann Act is these were consensual adults. Everything was consensual. Exactly. They was down for it, and all he did was use his money to transport them. He didn't force them to do so. And that's why you're about to see why the setup is crazy and why Diddy got done wrong. The judge ruled, no, Diddy, you actually have 10 victims. Cassie, Jane Doe, and 8 men that were hired as prostitutes. Now, this is crazy. This is insane. That's insane. That's crazy. Those 8 men were never listed as victims during the trial. So why are you now saying they were victims? Diddy was never convicted of trafficking or transporting.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This is wild. Like I said, hey, I'm not saying, obviously, we all know Diddy did do the shit that, like, what? Maybe not everybody did do fucked up shit. Even though there's no proof of the evidence of it, but we still kind of know he did some fucked up shit. But nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that, bro, in the court of law, it's all about proof and evidence. It's about how you feel, what you think. It's about what you can prove. And since it's been proven not guilty, you can't say that makes no sense. That he has 8 victims when none of those 8 victims were classified as victims. Like, that makes no sense, bro. The fuck? It's like I'm talking to a wall. Like, this is insane.
10 men or those 8 men.
Hey, don't get me wrong, though. I don't feel bad for Diddy. If anything, I think they should up that sentence even further. But hearing what I'm seeing here about the judge is actually, the sentence is actually bullshit, to be fair.
He was convicted of transporting Jane Doe and Cassie. The charge literally said Jane Doe and Cassie next to it, not those 8 other men. They were never listed as victims. But the judge is saying, whatever I hear in this courtroom, they are victims. If I think they're victims, if they came and testified and they had nothing to do with this case, but I think he victimized them, well, I can use that in my sentencing guideline. That's what the judge did. He went straight radical on Diddy. Diddy obviously objected to Cassie, Jane Doe, and the 8 men being considered victims. So the judge writes, Mr. Combs objects to categorizing Ms. Ventura and Jane as victims. That is overruled. He overruled that. Mr. Combs objects to the escorts being characterized as victims. That is also overruled. They were transported for the purpose of engaging in commercial. Again, not Jane Doe and Cassie. Jane Doe and Cassie was not transported to engage in commercial sex. The escorts were, the 8. Those 8 were not listed as victims during the trial. Diddy was not convicted of transporting those escorts at all.
So if that's the case, so why is he basing his sentencing based off that? That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
The judge is still saying, because I heard it in court, I can still consider that in my sentencing guideline.
Man.
Now, for Jane Doe and Cassie, because they weren't transported for commercial sex, the judge will say that based on the testimony, he believes that Diddy coerced and forced them to do it, hence their victim. As to coercion, when something is voluntarily, it is uncompelled. That is from Black Law's dictionary. It's a broad concept. The threats to release videos into Jane's home, that's coercion. But he was found not guilty of doing that. He was found not guilty of coercing either of these people. So even if you want to consider Cassie a victim, all right, cool, bro. Like, you seen the video, you can't get out your head, cool. But Jane's a victim? Even the most radical people who's been covering this case, who's anti-Diddy, don't consider Jane a victim. But the judge is saying that because Diddy told Jane he's not going to pay her rent anymore because she ain't on no freak stuff no more, that's coercion. Diddy and Jane...
I mean, to be kind of is, but I hear that.
Jane was in like a relationship or a situationship. She thought Diddy was her boyfriend. Diddy was paying her rent because she was being overly freaked out for him. And she was being what he would consider a good girl. The minute she stopped trying to be overly freaked out and start causing issues, he said, bro, I'm not going to pay her. Bro, it's $10K a month. Like, why am I give you $10K a month when you giving me headaches and issues now? Feel me? And you're not trying to be on time no more. That's coercion, bro. That's a legal precedent that F's over all men. All men get effed over by that, bro. Because imagine this, okay? You with your girl, okay? Like, your love language is physical touch, okay? The cooking and cleaning is cool, but your love language is physical touch. You paying your girl's rent because you a player. You don't even live there. You just paying it because you over there sometimes. She stops having sex with you for a year.
Pardon? For a year? That's insane.
You done said, huh? What? Man, listen, bruh. If you gonna neglect me like that, bruh, I'm done with this situation, bruh. And I'm not gonna pay like your rent and bills no more, bruh.
I hear that.
If you not gonna do your girlfriend duties, I'm done with this. She can now take you to court and get you charged with coercion, with sexual abuse through coercion, because she has sex with you because you told her if she don't have sex with you and she keeps neglecting you, you're going to stop paying her bills and move on to another girl. This is crazy. And that sketchy logic is what he used to raise the offense level to 27 to ensure that Diddy spends the next 4 years in prison. Now, the guidelines for level 27 is apparently 70 to 87 months. But I guess he had mercy on Diddy and gave him 50 instead. While giving Diddy the 50...
Yo, that judge, bro. That judge is weird, bro. That judge is weird. Wait.
I guess he had mercy on.
So if the guy that was 70 to 87 months, and clearly based on the, because you're so apprehensive about listening and to what the defendants and the previous president presented. Oh my god, the previous court judgment, that kind of stuff. Was apprehensive to listen to that shit and ignored. So you went for all that nonsense to convict Diddy. Now the guy that says 7 to 87 months. So instead of giving the 7 to 87 months, now suddenly you feel sympathy and you only give him 50 months. Bro, if you're gonna do something as heinous as this, you might as well go all the way, like, do it properly, not half-assly. Like, what do you mean? Oh, no. Nah, that judge is messed up, man.
Diddy and gave him 50 instead. While giving Diddy the 50 months, the judge even says he's only giving Diddy the 50 months to deter other people from doing this. Is that common practice? Maybe it is. I've never been sentenced, so I don't know. I've never served a day in prison. I wouldn't know. I just think it's wrong. Now, people are reacting to Diddy being sentenced, so let's just take a look at what some people have to say about this, man. So Tariq Nasheed wrote, there are technically no victims in this Diddy case. Cassie is not the victim here because there was no domestic violence charges in this conviction. White supremacy.
I don't know why there was no domestic violence charges in that conviction. I don't know why there wasn't. That was one of the first things I would have inserted in there.
He is in desperate need for a win, so they have to go all out with the systematic.
Bro, why do you need to add a white supremacy? Bro, man. Bro, people love playing the goddamn race card and all this white supremacy shit.
Non-justice with this case. Tariq Nasheed would also blame the immigrants on top of white supremacy, claiming the judge was, I'm not sure if this word here is allowed on YouTube, but yeah, that means immigrant.
I did not even know that, to be fair. That word means immigrant.
David Turner says, why did this YouTuber reporting on Diddy case refer to his supporters as the Diddyots? He said the courthouse got shut down because the Diddyots were outside acting up again. Apparently not everybody thinks Diddy is innocent or got off light. One person says, wow, how the justice system works. People get 5+ years for the smallest charges, but Diddy gets 4 after everything he did. Make it make sense. I do think some believe that Diddy got convicted of everything, but no.
No, he didn't.
Diddy got convicted of the Mann Act, transportation. Yeah. So, imagine talking to a girl, she says, hey, I want this much to come over. You said, okay.
No, I think they're talking about, not that one in particular, talking about the whole entire thing in general, because how is this guy being accused of this, I think it was like 4 to 6 different charges? Something like that, but don't call me, I've forgotten, it's been a while back. Like 4 to 6 different charges, and yet, basically, out of all those 4 to 6 charges, you got acquitted of all of them, apart from maybe, I think one, the Mann Act and transportation, and only gets 4 years. So in that sense, now we got if you look at the whole spectrum, the bigger picture, yeah, it's crazy how it only gets 4 years for all those other charges, all these charges combined together. So yeah, that's what he's talking about, which I agree with, to be honest. It's true. Bro, people get. He's actually. Well, now think about it. He's actually.
And then you buy her a Uber.
No, he's actually right with this, because if you think about it, people out here be doing, bro, significantly less than what Diddy did, bro. And they get easily 5+ charges, bro. Easily 5+ years, bro, in jail. Easily. And for the most tiniest thing, the most insignificant thing, like I said, people don't even get prosecuted for that shit. If anything, they get probation or some shit like that. So shouldn't even be going to jail for it. Yet somehow they find a way to give him 4 years. Why didn't they find a way with all these other charges to put him behind bar for life? Make it make sense.
To come over. Well, you transported. That's the Mann Act. Do you believe you should give 4 years for that? Probably not, right? Somebody says Diddy. Well, hey, a lot of people think that Diddy should have gotten more. Somebody says Diddy only gets 50 months in prison. What a joke. Somebody said, well, damn. Well, let's. Kyra says, how the F do you sit down and watch this video and only give Diddy 4 years? Diddy was not convicted of this. That's like domestic violence. Again, I'm not excusing that. I think that's wrong. I condemn and disavow any man who put his hands on any woman. right? Diddy is not a good person. He's not a good person at all.
Bro, it's so mind blowing to me how he was not, bro. How did he not get done just for that alone, bro? Bro, there is plain evidence on him playing football with Cassie on the ground. Guy was trying to play American football. I don't know what was trying to do, kick it maybe like 50 yards or so. Bro, oh God, man. Well, man, I've said this before. I said it on my TikTok, man. But, bro, I'm convinced the justice system is not here to serve and protect the people or the society. It's here to serve and protect the truly powerful and rich.
He's a pretty terrible human being. But the rights of terrible human beings matters too. And if we're looking at just what he was convicted of, this is a gross injustice. Somebody says this type of performance, Diddy lawyer, had to put in. Somebody says Diddy only locked up for 4 years when he has terrorized women for literal centuries as an abuser and a rapist. He was not convicted of raping. Man, listen, man, people. Apparently, I stand alone. Nobody seems to believe or go with what I'm saying, okay? But y'all let me know in the comment section. What do you guys
I hear what you're saying, man. No, I hear what you're saying, man. Because in that sense, yes, it is. The sentencing is wrong because for what is being now convicted for, it should not be getting convicted for. It should only get probation. So, but obviously the judge is making shit up. But it shouldn't get to this point where the judge has to make up shit, some crazy ass bullshit to try and put the guy behind bar when they had 4-6 other flipping convictions that they should have or could have easily convicted him for. So, but how they managed not to do it, but it's a mystery to me as well. It's a mystery. But anyways, shout out to Poetic Flacco, man. And bro, like I said, man, I will not be surprised if Diddy manages to overturn this sentencing. I will not be surprised, man. After like the guy already managed to get acquitted of all the other previous charges. So hey, well yeah. Anyways, guys, make sure you have a big. Anyways, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, have a blessed week.